So it's not all about the cloud. Why would you put all of your eggs into a basket that somebody else controls? The outlook for cloud computing is mixed. On the one hand, Forrester is forecasting that revenues in the industry are going to grow to $241 billion in the 10 years up to 2020. And that's in part because the headline cost of most cloud applications is cheap or headline cost free. It makes it really easy to keep a backup copy of whatever is important to me. In theory, I can get it anywhere, and it's certainly convenient. But the trouble is there are some very real hidden costs and some risks associated with cloud. Chief among those is the concern about privacy. User information is subject to policies that change often and normally out of the user's control. There's been an increasing public outcry against changes to Facebook's terms and conditions, for example. And the information can just move from one country and jurisdiction to another where the rules can be quite different, so fast, and again, out of user control. It's not just the privacy that's a concern, but also security of information. And there have been some incredibly high-profile breaches of username and password and credit card information. Just ask one of the 100 million Sony PlayStation users who lost details earlier this year as the Sony network was hacked. As a business, do I really want to put my information and my business service into the hands of another company that I can't control? Certainly not into just one supplier. Availability is not just a concern for business, but for the regular consumer too. Marketing people often talk about getting 5 nines of availability, but that's really tough. 5 nines means that the system is going to be available all the time, apart from just 5 minutes, 20 seconds a year. And that's so tough to deliver on. So what do? Do we settle for 90% availability, which sounds pretty good, but in practice means that I'm going to be without my applications for 36 days every year. Even if the application and the data is available, doesn't mean to say I can get at it fast. We've all been on the edge of a Wi-Fi or 3G network where speeds are slow. And that's assuming that they're there at all. There are certainly places in the Western world that the network hasn't got to yet. And then in this spring, we've seen problems in the Middle East where entire country access to the internet has been severed at a government's single keystroke. There are some incredibly high-profile companies, real household brand names, that have suffered major network outages in the last 3 months. In this area, as in most areas of life, economic forces are at work. You see, the business models mean that it is massively more profitable to sell data about users or the user's data itself than it is to provide the free email or the social networking platform that users are taking advantage of in the first place. And many users are beginning to say, well, actually, that doesn't seem like such a good return on my information. Longer term, there are significant trends and forces at work. You see, back in time, we were all using dumb terminals with mainframe computers where the processing and the storage was done. Then we had the PC and then, of course, the laptop revolutions, which put the processing and the data storage into the hands of the user. Now, with cloud, we're using those same powerful laptops, and we're essentially back to the days of the mainframe, treating them as if they were dumb terminals on central data storage and processing power. And users are beginning to say, well, actually, do I really want that? I've got such power for local graphics and processing power and storage power right there in my hand. Why not use it? In business, you need to put the consumer's needs at the center, and they're concerned. That concern leads to an opportunity, and it's an opportunity to develop a rich internet application, something that actually combines the power of the local with the power of the cloud. Add to local processing the network, but do it with privacy and with trust to respond to those consumer concerns.